I know the feeling all too well. You see a cheap orbital floor machine on a garage sale flyer, you think, why pay for the big brand when this will do the job? Then you bring it home, plug it in, and halfway through stripping a stubborn wax finish the pad starts humming, the motor sputters, and you're left with a half-finished floor and a dent in your wallet. That's why I wanted to spend a few minutes talking about the Powr Flite ORB1420 Orbital floor machine, because it sits in that middle ground where a lot of people wonder if it's a smarter buy or just another overpromised tool. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. When I first saw the ORB1420 I was hesitant. A 1.5 horsepower engine, a 20 by 14 inch rectangular pad, and a claim of chemical-free floor finish removal sounded promising, but the real question was whether it would actually handle the daily grind in a busy commercial setting without turning a simple polish job into an afternoon of frustration. I dug into the specs, read a handful of forums where floor technicians compare rectangular versus round pads, and asked a couple of local cleaning contractors what they look for in an orbital machine. The consensus was clear: you need enough horsepower to keep the pad moving at speed, a pad shape that can reach tight corners, and a noise level low enough that you can run it while the office is still occupied. Powr Flite tries to tick all those boxes, so let's break down exactly how it performs once you pull it out of the box. First off, the rectangular pad is the most noticeable feature. Traditional round pads leave a donut of uncleaned surface around edges and fixtures, which means you end up going back with a hand scrub brush anyway. The ORB1420's 14-inch pad covers more floor real estate and slides into the shallow space between a countertop and a wall with less effort. In my own test on a 200 square foot workshop, I could clean a full aisle in roughly half the time it took a comparable round pad machine. That's a practical strength because it translates directly into labor savings, no more wasted minutes circling back to a missed spot. The engine's 1.5 horsepower rating and 3,500 revolutions per minute spin sound like a lot on paper, but the real test is how the machine maintains that speed under load. The ORB1420 ships with optional weights you can bolt onto the underside of the pad, which increase down pressure and improve pad loading when you're tackling a thick floor coating. I tried it both with and without the extra weight. Without it, the machine handled light wax removal easily, but when I moved on to a stubborn polyurethane finish, the pad began to slip, and the motor's sound dipped. Adding the weight gave the necessary traction, and the finish came off in a couple of passes. This shows the machine is adaptable, but it also means you have to consider whether you'll actually need that extra weight. If you're only doing light polishing or occasional maintenance, the extra hardware may be unnecessary weight and expense. Noise is another pain point for many floor care pros, especially when cleaning after hours in a building that's still in use. The ORB1420 advertises a low 69 dBA operating level, and in my Hansen run that claim held up. The machine was quiet enough that you could leave it running while people were working in an adjacent office without the constant hum becoming a distraction. That makes it a good fit for schools, medical offices, or any environment where you're trying to clean while the space remains occupied. However, the lower noise comes at a trade-off. The motor has to work harder to keep the pad at the advertised 3,500 revolutions per minute, which can result in a slight temperature rise after prolonged use. I noticed the housing getting warm after an hour of continuous operation, so if you plan on long-duration jobs you'll want to schedule short breaks to let the machine cool. One feature I hadn't expected but turned out to be surprisingly useful is the integrated vacuum port. You can attach a shop vac or a small industrial vacuum directly to the machine, pulling up the slurry and dust as you work. That eliminates the need to chase a separate mop-up crew or go back with a wet vac after the fact. In the workshop test, pairing the ORB1420 with a two-stage vacuum reduced cleanup time by about 20% because the debris was captured on the spot. The only downside is that you need a compatible vacuum with sufficient suction. The port isn't a universal fit for every brand, so you might have to purchase an adapter or a dedicated vacuum if you don't already own one. Now, who should actually buy this thing? If you're a small to medium cleaning business that services retail floors, schools, or light industrial spaces and you need a versatile machine that can handle both quick polish jobs and occasional heavy finish removal, the Powr Flite ORB1420 hits a sweet spot. Its rectangular pad saves you time on edge work, the optional weights give you the flexibility to up the pressure when needed, and the built-in vacuum port streamlines